So the whole point of this video is to really explain everything from the off so that you've got clarity and your expectations are managed. So we want to talk now about the onboarding process. I have Tom Fawcett with me, who is the head of dealing at Onyx Markets and is very experienced in the retail trading or retail brokering area. So Tom, thanks for joining. So why don't we just go through from the beginning how to get started?
Great, yeah, thanks, Greg. So how do you open an account? So once you're on the website, if you click on the Trade Now button, that will take you through to the application form. We'll then ask you a few very basic questions. So what's your name, address, things like that. We'll then ask you what type of account you want. So you'll need to specify whether you're an individual or a corporate. You'll need to specify whether you want a CFD or a spread betting account. And lastly, you'll need to confirm which country you're applying from. And just note that only UK clients can apply for a spread betting account. We'll then need to run through some suitability criteria, so things like your employment, income, salary, and level of savings. We'll then need to go through some appropriateness questions, just asking you about your trading history and experience with financial derivatives. We'll then need to go through some KYC questions. That's a regulatory requirement, stands for Know Your Client. And lastly, any corporate applications will be required to provide an LEI number. So why do we need to know all of that information? So quite simply, we're not being nosy, but we just need to ensure that you've got sufficient financial resilience to cope with any losses that may arise from leverage trading. We need to ensure that you've got enough experience in trading to deal with the complexity of some of these products. We need to ensure that we're adhering to all anti-money laundering rules. And we also need to ensure that you're not subject to any sanctions. Okay, and then based on the information that we've collected from you as part of those questions, we'll then automatically classify you as either a retail or a professional client. And I'll go into a little bit more about what the differences are shortly. But quite simply, a retail client, as the name suggests, is typically less experienced. Whereas a professional client has probably got some direct professional experience trading these products. For example, they might be trading oil derivatives for a living. Certain retail clients can opt up to be classified as a professional. In order to do this, you'll need to meet two out of three of the following criteria. So basically, you'll need to have placed trades of significant size over the last 4 quarters on leveraged derivatives. You'll need to have at least 500,000 euros in liquid assets, or you'll need to have some direct professional experience surrounding leveraged derivatives.
So what is the difference between retail and professional clients?
Okay, so quite simply, retail clients are afforded greater protection under regulations. So it's designed as a classification for people who are less experienced, and it's to avoid them exposing themselves to so much risk. As a professional client who's probably better able to cope with higher risk scenarios. So the two main takeaways are that they have negative balance protection. So that means that they can never lose more money than is actually on their account. So they can never end up owing us money. And secondly, they'll be subject to lower leverage. So that's a maximum of 10-to-1 on commodities, as opposed to a maximum of 74-to-1 on commodities for professional clients. In some cases, Onyx may also choose to impose a lower leverage on particular products if we deem them to be higher risk or particularly volatile.
Okay, so what is the main advantage of being a professional client then?
Okay, so quite simply that you get access to lower margin rates, so higher leverage in essence. So it makes it cheaper for you to maintain your positions because we're asking you for a lower margin requirement.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
So next I just wanted to touch briefly on the difference between segregated and non-segregated funds. So if you're categorized as a professional, you can choose to sign what's called a title transfer agreement, which will mean that your funds are desegregated from Onyx's own funds. So why would you want to do that? The main advantage is it gives you access to lower margin rates that are available in much larger institutional sizes. And the reason why Onyx is able to offer that is because we're using your funds to cover the exchange margin requirement on our hedge positions. And if we're not doing that, it can become very capital intensive to hedge those positions. and we'd need to recoup that cost of capital in some other way. So it just allows us to keep execution costs low and gives you access to those same exchange beating margin rates. So just by way of an example, our average margin rates on outright products are 92% of exchange margins. And on some headline products like EBOB, we're as low as 80% of exchange margin. Not everyone is suitable to sign a title transfer agreement. Retail clients will never be able to do that. Their funds always need to remain segregated, and that's part of the additional protections that they benefit from, which I touched on earlier. Professional clients can elect to keep their funds segregated, but they should just be aware that their trades will be subject to higher margin requirements if they're trading in larger sizes. And anyone signing that agreement should also just be aware that they are sacrificing certain protections in the unlikely event of an insolvency.
So can you start as retail and migrate to professional?
You can do, yeah. So there's two options. You can either do it straight away as part of the onboarding journey, which is the easiest way to do it. So you can be classified as a retail or professional and choose to sign your title transfer agreement then. Or you could start off as retail, and then it might be that at some point later you then meet the qualifying criteria. And then you can also choose to opt into desegregating your funds at a later date as well. But as I say, if you qualify for both, the easiest way to do it is during the onboarding journey.
So what about when it gets to, I guess, depositing the cash and withdrawing the cash?
Yeah, so after you've completed the onboarding, we'll then ask you to provide us with some bank details. You can fund your account in one of two ways. You can either use open banking, which is essentially an instant bank transfer. You'll be asked to do a one-off registration of your bank details via our portal. We'll then store those for future payments, and it'll just mean that you can instantly transfer funds onto your account and they'll hit your account straight away. You can also do a conventional bank transfer, which you'd instigate via your own online banking. But depending on the type of transfer you send us, they can take 2 to 3 days to hit your account. And then when it comes to withdrawals, I guess the most important factor to stress is that we have to return funds back to the source that they originally came from. In certain cases, we may ask you to provide a bank detail just to verify that source. So please keep an eye out for those requests just to prevent any delays when you're actually ready to withdraw. We'll tell you at the point that you've funded your account if we need that information.
Okay, so you're onboarded, you're able to manage the cash within our portal. I guess next thing on offer, if you meet our terms of service, is the Flux software platform, right? So how are you getting access to that?
So once your account is up and running, you'll gain access to our market-leading media and insights. You'll also gain access to industry-grade market data via our Flux platform. And you'll receive an email once your account is set up, inviting you to create a Flux profile. This is an unbeatable offering that will give you access and the same visibility as the biggest oil players in the industry. This service is available free of charge to all active clients, provided you meet our fair use policy.
Great. All right. Thank you very much, Tom.